We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. In a myth retold by Plato, a divine artisan, often called the craftsman, shaped order out of chaos. With nothing but the perfection of the heavens as his inspiration, he attempted to replicate that cosmic ideal. But his creation, our world, could never match its model. It was only a reflection, a flawed, fading echo of something far greater. As time passed, people forgot this truth. They mistook the replica for the real, the decaying world for the eternal one. In their blindness, they began to believe that what they saw was all there was. The shadows became reality. The imitation, they believed, was the mold itself. This is not just a story about metaphysics. It's a mirror held up to our modern fascination with artificial intelligence. We've become so enamored with the machine's ability to imitate us that we've started to believe it could become us, or worse, surpass us. But this belief rests on a dangerous misunderstanding, one that reflects a deeper confusion about the nature of intelligence and the soul. What do we truly mean when we call something intelligent? Consider the robots and programs we often point to as pinnacles of AI. Honda's Asimo, IBM's Chessmaster Big Blue, or ChatGPT. These are marvels of engineering, but to call them intelligent is to stretch the term to its breaking point. They perform specific tasks remarkably well, but they do not think, they do not reflect, they do not understand. When we describe a gadget, a piece of software, or a smart home device as intelligent, we're not saying that it has its own mind. What we're really doing is attributing human thought to the artifact. We're projecting intelligence onto it, mistaking the shadow for the source. This confusion only deepens when we see AI systems replicating certain human-like outputs, language, humor, pattern recognition, and assume the processes behind those outputs are human-like too. But they are not. Take ChatGPT, for instance. It can mimic the nervous rambling style of Woody Allen or spit out jokes on command. It can produce ums and ahs, peppering responses with all the theatrical tics of human speech. But it does this without thought or intent. It doesn't feel embarrassment or self-doubt. It doesn't know it's mimicking anyone. It simply maps data patterns drawing from vast data sets of human language to statistically guess the most likely next word. It does not care. It cannot care. The illusion is seductive, but it is still an illusion. Even the most advanced AI systems like Google Translate function not through understanding, but through sheer volume and iteration. By analyzing millions of word pairings from human-translated texts, the program learns to match languages. Yet nothing in its process resembles the experience of learning a language from childhood, imbibing culture, tone, nuance, and the lived experience of meaning. AI doesn't know what a word means. It only knows how it's been used. The underlying technology has become more complex: neural networks, weighted connections, pattern-based learning. But complexity is not comprehension. These systems do not think, reflect, or feel. They do not understand in the way that we do. And yet, many believe that AI will eventually attain sentience, that it will become conscious, creative, even soulful. This is the fantasy of the singularity, a point at which machines become so advanced they outpace our intelligence and perhaps our control. But this dream, or nightmare, is not built on scientific certainty. It's a mythology infused with science fiction and marketing. We assign names like Alexa or Siri to chatbots, give them voices, and teach them to say, "You're welcome." This linguistic sleight of hand fosters the illusion of selfhood. But these programs are not selves. They are diffuse, distributed software systems simulating unity for convenience. The real problem is not the software, but our projection. We confuse responsiveness with sentience. We mistake language for understanding. GPT is said to have an IQ of 147. But does this mean it's more intelligent than a human with an IQ of 100? Of course not. That assumes intelligence is a number, something quantifiable, computable, objective. But intelligence is a tapestry, woven from emotion, embodiment, culture, history, and self-awareness. Throughout history, we've modeled ourselves after our tools. In the Iron Age, we imagined ourselves as animals. In the Renaissance, as architectural structures. In the Industrial Age, as steam-powered machines. Now, in the digital age, we see ourselves as computers, hardware and software running side by side. But these metaphors reveal more about us than about the nature of consciousness. The original vision of artificial intelligence wasn't about imitating human behavior, it was about being intelligent. Douglas Hofstadter, the cognitive scientist and philosopher, embodies this vision. In his seminal work, Gödel, Escher, Bach, he proposes that consciousness arises not from computation, but from self-reference, a strange, tangled loop in which a system begins to perceive itself. Strange loops are recursive, paradoxical structures. They appear in Escher's drawings and Bach's fugues, where movement through a system leads you back to where you started. Hofstadter connects this idea to Kurt Gödel's incompleteness theorems, which showed that any sufficiently complex system capable of self-reference cannot be complete. There will always be truths it cannot prove. Intelligence, Hofstadter suggests, is the same. It is not linear or complete. It loops. It references itself. It is inherently open-ended. In his follow-up book, I Am a Strange Loop, Hofstadter writes that consciousness is like a mirage, a self-referential illusion that somehow becomes aware of itself. We perceive this mirage as I, a self, a soul. And though it is not made of anything special, just particles, neurons, matter, it gives rise to meaning, identity, and experience. To Hofstadter, a truly intelligent machine would not just mimic human outputs, it would create meaning. It would reflect on its own thoughts. It would wonder. It would suffer and dream. In short, it would have a soul, or at least the beginnings of one. But even Hofstadter's hopeful vision has its limits. His model assumes the mind resides primarily in the brain. Yet, intelligence may not be confined to a 3-pound organ. It may spill out into bodies, relationships, language, culture, tools, memory, and time. Our calendars, phones, books, and communities are part of our minds. The thoughts we think are not just ours. They are shaped by the world we inherit and inhabit. The philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein argued that meaning is embedded in our form of life. Language is not a private internal code. It's a public act rooted in culture and practice. If a lion could speak English, we would not understand it. Not because we lack grammar in common, but because we lack experience. Intelligence, like language, is relational. This is why the idea that AI could become as smart as a human misses the point entirely. Intelligence is not a faster processor or a better data set. It is embedded in life. It is shaped by love, loss, laughter, and longing. It cannot be downloaded. It cannot be cloned. The miracle of human consciousness is not that we think, it's that we know we think, that we reflect on our reflections, that we ask why we exist, and that we find meaning, not in data, but in the dance between self and other, between matter and mystery. Artificial intelligence may become more useful, more powerful, more persuasive, but unless it can truly look at itself and wonder, unless it can experience the sacred strangeness of being, it will never be more than a copy of a world it cannot see. Just like the prisoners in Plato's cave, mistaking flickering shadows for truth, we risk mistaking clever simulations for souls. But the light, the real light, is still out there and within. We need only turn toward it.